Go ahead,
Yeah,
Joe.
go ahead. I was
Yeah.
gonna say
So
I just had one more quick one.
yeah, go ahead.
You guys don't mind for both y'all, and you can answer this one quick if you want. A new student walks in the gym first day. How long until you let them roll? First day, first
Well,
week,
so
month?
this is where so I have a saying, man. I didn't open up a jujitsu gym because I didn't like being there. Like I don't really I'm there all the time. Like I have the two guys I get black belts, Darren Roberts, Kenneth Yoon. They take my Friday night class. When people come in, if they don't have any grappling background at all,
Yeah.
I have them take two intro classes before taking regular class, right? And then if they don't have any grappling, if they're, not overly athletic or whatever, if they are, I might let them spar if they ask, but I pair them up with somebody who can protect them and themselves. And if
Yeah.
not, then I say, hey, look, guys, sparring isn't about kicking ass. It's like learning a language, right? You have your classroom work that you do, but how did you really learn the language? You immerse yourself in it, right?
Yeah.
So you get a buddy who's taking French too. You guys go to lunch and all you do is speak French, right? Or you go to the store and all you do is speak French if you're out of the country, right? So I tell them, I'm like, that's what sparring is like. So if you approach it and don't focus on what you don't know, right? Just do what you do. Try to get around the legs when you're on top. When you're
Yeah.
on bottom, don't let them get around your legs, right? And then go from there. If you're in a position that you're not sure about, tap.
Yeah.
And then man, I let them go. So typically, if they're brand new, I have them watch one or two classes of sparring, and then I have them do it with that explanation and expectation, and it's worked really well in bringing people
Yeah.
along. Then the
Yeah,
last,
this is something I'm always curious about. It's been like an obsession of mine lately because I've been going to different gyms and different people approach it differently.
yeah,
And I have seen if you let the guy spar on the very first day, a
yeah,
lot of times it's a disaster, man, for
can be,
for
it
for a
can
lot
be,
of people. But it can be good too. On my first class, I was a real competitive guy. I
yeah.
wanted to spar. I asked the instructor after class, I was like, "Hey man, can I spar?" And he let me spar. So I'm like, I'm torn between what to do sometimes,
Well,
you
And,
well,
know.
setting the expectation and then like pairing
Communication.
them up,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is going back to what something you said earlier in the conversation? You pair everyone up for the
Mm-hmm.
roles, right? And so I
Yeah,
think if you're always doing that, if you're always pairing people up,
yeah.
then you, in a sense, kind of have already taken care of that. I
Yeah,
think
as long
that's
as
one
you
thing we've
communicate.
learned.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
That was the main. I was just
And
interested to hear
I,
your guys'
I,
thoughts on that.
let me toss in one more thing with that, actually. One of the pieces of feedback that I get most often from people who've come up, whether they've been with me for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 years, is that especially the people over the past like 3 years or so, because when I first opened up, I mean, you remember, John, like I was there, so I could roll with all 8 people on the mat. Well, now we have 40 people on the mat. You know what I mean? But the cool thing is that like our white belts interact with, our black belts and our brown belts and our purple belts. Like I don't separate, and they benefit so much from that interaction. Like I'll pair people up. So I might take like one of my senior purple belts, like Winthrop, who's Asian champion, and I might put him with a guy who's maybe 6 months in, right? And Winthrop knows my expect. He's great. Like he's yoked and
yeah,
strong, and I can
yeah,
put him with anybody. I can put him with anybody, and he will flow and he'll move, and they get something out of that, and it sparks their imagination and stuff. So not only do I encourage people to spar pretty soon, actually, right? I pair them up to protect their experience, right? But I also continue that as their white belt. Do you know what I mean? Like,
hmm
man, if I roll with a white belt now, like right before we closed the coronavirus, I had multiple white belts try to bolo me. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes back in the day, you would roll with your coach and you're just super tight because, wow, my coach knows so much more than me. Dude, my
Right.
white belts try to bolo me. I'm like, and I laugh. I'm
That's
like,
cool.
dude, man, that's good try.
Yeah.
But man, we're trying to like Maisie and I were flow rolling. You guys know Maisie.
yeah,
We're flow. She's 115 pounds. She's so tough though. We're flow rolling And then she just tried to slap on a triangle. And I was like, easy. It's funny, man. I love that because I want them to be creative. I want to spark that imagination and creativity. And I think it starts from the very beginning, and you really build that, like, as they're adults.